good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Talkin Kop. We're here for our 8th full-time match reaction of the season. It is finished at Molyneux. Wolves 1, Liverpool 2. Arne Slot just keeps on going, keeps on going. I'm your host, Matt. I'm joined by the regular crew tonight, which I just realized yesterday represents 4 different countries. So good on us for being truly, truly international. From the United States, Ashley, how'd you like the match today?
I think it was a hard-fought victory, and we're top of the league. So overall, I'm happy.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, Ireland's own Kev O'Sullivan, you can never complain about an away victory in the Premier League, can you?
No, I mean, look, it was harder than it was probably harder than it needed to be. Bearing in mind we're top, they're bottom, but I don't think they'll be bottom by the end of the season. Not by a long stretch. But yeah, look, it's 3 points. Weren't really on it, but when you're not on it and you're picking up 3 points, you'll take that. You'll take that all day long.
Yeah, and from the Holy Land of Liverpool itself, Chris Brack. I mean,
I wish I was from Liverpool.
It's when you play poorly and still come away with a victory. That's the main thing, like Kev said. But that's exactly what today's performance was, wasn't it?
Typical Wolves away game. I think most of our games away at Wolves are tight, not very eventful affairs. But I'll be honest, apart from the brain fart, I was quite relaxed because I think that was the only time Wolves really properly gave us a chance. Had a chance. Other than that, I actually thought as a unit we kept them out quite well. We were just a bit sloppy on the ball in attack. But look, top of the league, 6 games in. I think Ashley puts over up 4. Slot's the first manager to win 3 away games in a row. I think in the Premier League, only Pep and the current Chelsea manager have also done that. So, you know, he's doing all right. He could have beat what's in front of him.
Yeah. Apparently, I'm really dark. I don't know. It looks good on...
In general or just in the background?
Yeah, I guess that's not entirely. I will make no more apologies for it. Too bad. You get what you get. Ashley, the lineups come out, and it seems as if Arne Slot has a preferred 11 because it's getting to be fairly predictable when given the opportunity for a big league game who he's going to go with.
Yeah, he looks like he's got, basically 2 teams that he's going to be rotating for at least this next period of time. I'd expect to see the West Ham kind of team maybe start for the Bologna game. But yeah, I mean, they got some rest. I was expecting a little bit more from them. I was expecting a little bit more energy given that they had that rest. But overall, I think that they're starting to gel, which is nice to see. I think that, seeing that center back partnership really be nailed down between Konate and Virgil, I think that's a good thing. I think that McAllister and Gravenberch especially are starting this really great dynamic relationship between each other. And I think the front 3 were not quite as interchangeable as they were usually, but overall, I was okay with everyone that got picked today.
Yeah, I mean, Kev Garmack says Ali needs to grow that beard back ASAP. It's lovely to see the big man back between the sticks, but it is a bit odd looking when he's clean shaven, isn't it?
Yeah, clean shaven. You see it now and again. Hopefully, give it another couple of weeks and he'll be back to his normal self. But yeah, clean shaven Ali after an injury break. Yeah, not his best look. Still a handsome devil though. Let's be honest about it.
Yeah, it for the team photo, I believe it was to go with the clean shaved look. But let's just go ahead to you bastard. Oh, Goldie, you bastard. Well, let's get into it. Bracky's having a little bit of internet issues, so he'll pop back in whenever he gets the opportunity to. But we'll carry on without him. I mean, I'd have to say that the first half of the first half, Ashley, was very much Wolves in the ascendancy, and we looked a fair step off of the pace.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time figuring out if this is by design. I wasn't sure if this was the team kind of struggling to find rhythm after having the week off, or if Slot specifically is setting the team out to kind of just absorb pressure for a little bit, let the home team kind of come out, do their thing, and then almost like burn themselves out a little bit. Because we have seen in a couple of games now that we clearly go up a gear in the second half. And I mean, it's just a hypothesis. I don't know what you guys think, but I do feel like it's like a learning curve for the guys on the team to figure out how to keep that control and keep that lower tempo. Because I think we only had 38% possession for like the first 30 minutes or so, which is really low for us. But yeah, it's something that I'm going to have to learn to get used to. It's very different from the Klopp.
Yeah, I mean, Kev, I don't know what your thoughts on whether it's by design or just, I don't know, like it's pretty much the exact opposite way of starting a match to how Brentford has decided to go this season, where they're like, we're just going to score within the first 40 seconds. But I mean, Cade Fagan says, the lack of fire is just odd. It needs to be a tactical thing then, doesn't it? Of just kind of sussing out what the opposition's going to do against us.
Wolves, for all their possession, had 3 attempts in the first half, 2 on target, and none of them memorable. We're a lot more solid. We are, you can count, you literally can count on one hand the amount of goals we've conceded this season so far. It's almost, and credit where it's due, Wolves are a better side than their league position said. I'll keep saying it. They kept the ball well. They moved it quickly. They were basically being kept at arm's distance away from the final third, but they moved the ball around midfield a lot. All through the summer, people who were in the chat, people who were on these podcasts, when we were doing the transfer shows, an awful lot of people wanted to go shopping in Wolverhampton for a very, very good reason. They've got some very good players, and the likes of Andre, Aït-Nouri, Joe Gomez. We've been linked with Mateus Cunha in the past. You've got Semedo came from Barcelona. They've got decent players, and they're well capable at the start of games in keeping the ball. They're at home. This is how Gary O'Neill has them drilled, and this is how they normally play. They do this quite a bit. So sometimes you just got to soak it up and build yourself into the game. See out the first 10, 15 minutes and then build into the game. That 10, 15 minutes went on for 25, for another 10 today. As soon as it hits 25 minutes, we dominated the rest of the half and created the better chances. So at the end of the day, it's each game on its merits, but we are a different side. Slot's Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool are polar opposites from what I can see in an awful lot of ways.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
One of the ways is controlling the ball, and controlling what other two teams do with the ball. We're quite happy. Slot seems quite okay and content for sides to have the ball in the midfield as long as they're not hurting us, because we can break from there. But that's it's just the way I'm seeing it at the minute. It's just a different Liverpool. It's a different way of watching.
Yeah, and it's still early doors under the Arne Slot way of playing, so we're all still kind of acclimatizing ourselves to it. Our first Slot quote, I'm going to do it now because it's very pressing to what we're talking about. He says, I don't think we started off well, but you have to give credit to Wolves for their game plan. Afterwards, I think we took control of the game. Bracky, you're back with us now. We're just kind of talking through the first half of the first half. And
I'll come back in a bit then.
I mean, we have. There's a couple of talking points. I mean, Trent getting the yellow card for kicking the ball away. I mean, it's just
brain dead. It's thick. It's just a thick thing to do because it's the latest hot topic at the moment. There's always a thing issue, whether it's back chat, whether it's the latest thing is that, and especially after what Arsenal have been done for twice now, they're going to be on it. So it was just a little bit of naivety. I mean, Trent has that every now and again in his game. We saw that with was it Newcastle away? Similar time of the year, got booked early for kicking the ball away, put himself under a lot of pressure. The only good thing was actually I thought defensively he did really well today. He kept that side fairly quiet. And I think that's why they started to switch over to the left. But yeah, no. Generally in the first 35 minutes, I think I messaged Kev going, "This is boring. Nothing's happened." It was literally like, apart from Trent's yellow, I'm going, "What's happened?" Nothing happened either side. You just watch it going, it's a bit of a dire game. This.
There's a whole lot of huff and puff from them with not a lot.
Yeah, there's very few things of absolute note that I took down. Anthony Boylan. Oh no, that's not the right one. Where did it go?
Gary Neville was trying to really play up how well Wolves are doing first half. You thought Alisson was like the busiest goalkeeper in the world, the way he was going on.
Yeah, Brian O'Halloran says we defend better as a team under Slot. Everyone busts a gut to get back, and that was one of the things that I noticed. We had a corner, and it looked like they were going to have a chance to break away from it, and it was Mo Salah that was popping up, kind of mopping up as the left back, in a spot where you'd normally not really see him in. Then I've got Alisson has a strong hand to a good cross from Wolves at about 20 minutes. Then Van Dijk and Konate put in good clearances in our box. Then Alisson has a nice save after, like you said, Chris, they started switching to coming down Robertson's side, and they were getting a little bit more joy out of that. But yeah, it was around about the 25-minute mark that the game kind of spins, and we really seem to settle into it. Andre picks up a yellow card on McAllister. Everybody that listened to shows 2 summers ago knows that I was a big, big fan of Andre. It was good to see him playing in the Premier League. I thought he did all right, actually.
I'm not sure he'd be there very long.
No, it's he probably won't end up at Liverpool, but it's Wolves is probably not where he's going to be settled in after that. I mean, Ashley, we get to the 39th minute, and I don't know how Dominic Szoboszlai doesn't score
anywhere else. And if it was just a little bit further away, I think the proximity to the goal. I think it was Kev that was saying that before we started. I think he's spot on. Like, he just didn't have enough space to direct the ball. And it was a good save from Johnston. I think he made himself big, and he was like a wall. So I thought he should have scored, but I think we have to give credit where credit is due. It was a good save.
Yeah, I mean, Kev, the ball from Andy Robertson is about as perfect a cross.
It was juicy. It was a beautiful cross. It was a beautiful cross. Szoboszlai, we were talking with Gav. I was talking with Gav last night when we were doing the preview show, and I said, like, Szoboszlai needs a goal. He can break the lines. He can make that run into the box. And there it was. He did it. He got such a sweet connection on the ball. When you see it back, he catches the ball perfectly. And keeper spreads himself. He's about 3 yards out. Keeper spreads himself. It hits his leg and goes out. If he shins it, it goes in. If he scruffs it off his studs, it goes in. But he catches it so clean.
Or if he looks
Keeper
in,
got a block on it.
If he looks in, it hits his leg and still go. There is also the element sometimes you need a bit of luck.
You do. But look, at the end of the day, everything about that move was brilliant, except for it didn't go in there. Everything else, Robertson overlapping on the outside, getting across into the box. Mayhem caused. I text Chris and I said, more of that, please. Get it wide, get it in the box. You're bigger than them. You're physically bigger than them. People ignore the fact that I think Liverpool are quite physically a big side, and we don't do it enough. Get the ball out wide and put crosses in. If you don't get the header on it, your odds are you're going to win the ball on the edge of the box to have a pop at it. But, I love the cross. I love the fact that Andy Robertson got on the overlap, got a brilliant cross into the box. He timed his run perfectly. Just didn't put it away. It happens, and it'll happen plenty more times. But as long as he keeps making that run, I'm happy. I mean, look, largely, thought he had a poor enough day, but that would have papered over cracks on a performance for him, to be honest. I didn't think Szoboszlai was quite on it, But at the end of the day, he'll have worse games and score too.
Yeah, well, hopefully.
As long as he keeps making those type of runs and supporting the strikers like that, we'll be fine.
Yeah. And Avo the third here says our corners were shite again. I don't know about again. Today they were certainly bad. Madge Apple said the short corners were garbage. We were hitting the first man constantly. But Chris, it's after our sixth corner, which is not a good one, and the ball gets recycled out. And like Kev said, get it out wide and get the ball back into the box. And
it's a great cross by Jota.
Yeah, and a perfect time to score, isn't it?
It is, but going back to the Gravenberch goal, look at the Konate goal. It's right at the keeper, low. He gets a hand to it, it bounces in. That's what I'm talking about where the luck goes for you. When your luck's not in for you, the keeper probably saves that and tips it wide. So, but yeah, that was Ibu's first Premier League goal for Liverpool. Feels like he scored more than that, but they're all in cup games. And I think Mike Reed put a tweet out saying this is the second time Ibu has scored or assisted in 3 consecutive games for Liverpool, and he's the only Liverpool player to ever do it. So
Yep.
he's on a bit of a roll, really. So, listen, we'll talk about his brain fart later, but I thought in general, Ibu had a pretty decent game, and I think he actually recovers from the brain fart well, which I think is a thing that probably in the last year or so, Liverpool haven't been very good at, which is recovering from self-inflicted setbacks. But yeah, it's perfect time to score. And to be honest, I thought Liverpool deserved the lead because we hadn't created a lot, but we created the 2 biggest chances of the game, and Wolves hadn't. And also Gary Neville was really upset over it, which is always good.
You worry yourself too much with the opinions of Gary Neville. I mean,
I just like it. I just like hearing him upset. It makes my day.
Yeah, well, it's luckily for you.
We
it
didn't
seems
get
like
him on the international feed, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Lucky you.
Who did you guys have today?
I think it was Jim Beglin, and he spent the entire time just talking about how Salah was trying to buy cheap penalties. It was really annoying.
Oh yeah. See, I had Townsend on as the color comms on mine, and he was Townsend. Just he is what he is.
For us, if Gary Neville's quiet in the Liverpool game, Liverpool are doing all right. And the second half, he's quiet for long spells, and he's getting more annoyed with Wolves, which is actually quite funny. So that's when Liverpool are doing all right.
It's too bad for Gary. Too bad for Gary. I mean, we get to halftime, and obviously this is the regular point where I remind everybody about our charity sponsors. So if you can please help us out in trying to make sure that we get our charities to their fundraising targets that we've set for them. It's fans supporting food banks in Liverpool, the Lighthouse Cafe in Dublin, 2 organizations trying to make sure that people that need food are going to be able to have a meal this evening. So obviously organizations like this are needing donations all the time, and that's why we're here to help them out with it. So if you can, please donate. If you can't, please take the link to it, which you'll find in the show description or podcast description, and put it into your social medias to spread the news far and wide, because we'll keep going on about it until we get to that fundraising target. Other than the goal, Ashley, we get to halftime. I would say that Mario Lemina is probably lucky to not be on a yellow card for some of his antics in the first half. And as Chris Golding pointed out, that Lemina spelled backwards is animal, which is just a perfect Chris Golding comment. But that was a comfortable halftime, I felt, at least. I'm not sure how you felt about it at the half.
Yeah, I mean, I think we felt like we gained a little bit more control probably after about the 35 minute mark. It felt like, I don't know if they were waning because of the illness that was in their squad, but it did feel like the energy had sort of gone out of them. And we felt like we were in the ascendancy. And I felt confident at the half. I wasn't expecting the brain fart that was to come, but overall, I felt confident throughout the game. But yeah, at halftime, I thought everything looked pretty rosy.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to talk about Ibu Konate's brain fart, Kev, obviously, but there was a couple of them right at the start of the second half. One from the aforementioned Mario Lemina, who passes the ball beautifully to Mo Salah, who then, I don't know how he doesn't score. I mean, I know he doesn't score because I put him as my captain in my FPL this week, but come on, Mo.
I'll be honest, there was at the start of the second half, we were playing like it was too easy. Like, we just had all of the chances, all of the time in the world, and it just felt we were passive. There was one counter that Mo tried to put across a first time pass into Jones's path, and the thing is, it was just a terrible decision, and it was like Jones would have been offside because he was never expecting that pass to be played from there, and it was never going to be right. But it was decision making at certain times, But other than that, I felt anything that they were going to do was going to be from our mistakes. We were going to have a lapse in concentration, or they were going to really overcommit and we'd pick them off. It was one or the other. I never felt that we were going to get opened up by them, but when the brain fart came, it's poor communication, it's poor everything. Job number one: do your job, do the day work. If there's any shred of doubt, Rosed, get it out of there. Make the decision and take the decision away from someone else.
He also should have been stopped high. He also should have been stopped higher up in the attack. Szoboszlai to me watched his man run past him and stopped running, and he got the full length of pitch. That's one of those ones we're going like either track your runner or that's where you take the clever yellow. Which, to be fair, actually, the way Anthony Taylor was playing, it's what Lamina did all game and didn't get the yellow, so it might have worked. But yeah, to me, that's all on Ibu trying to be a bit too clever, thinking he could overpower someone. And you could see Alisson saying to him, like, I'm not there to get that. And he isn't. In that position, he should have just put it to Rowe's head. And bless him, he had about a 10-minute spell then, Ibu, where I think that was in his head for a little bit.
I was worried that he was going to have to get hooked because he looked like he had lost his head for sure.
Well, I mean, it was such getting stuck between two decisions and then ended up doing neither for it because he's trying to let the ball run to Alisson, but then he also doesn't block Strand Larsson's runoff, which you got to give credit where credit's due. Strand Larsson doesn't let the ball, he doesn't quit on it. He keeps the ball alive. And then it's just a bit of a panicky disaster in our penalty area. And yeah, Aït-Nouri puts it in, and it's all of a sudden it's 1-1, the second goal we've conceded in the Premier League. And Ashley, it's becoming a bit of a theme, but we're responding to going down. We didn't do it against Nottingham Forest. That game is such a poxy mark on the entire season, but within 3 minutes, we're back down the other end, and we end up getting the penalty.
Yeah. I think they said it was 37 seconds from the kickoff. So there was a little bit of time to reset. And it was a clear penalty. I don't think there's any argument. I mean, Semedo was basically like crawling all over Jota's back. And yeah, it was good to see that confirmed by VAR quickly. I feel like sometimes they do their best to try to rule those things out for God knows what reason. So that was confirmed. And then Mo Salah does Mo Salah things and helps my FPL today, which is fantastic because nobody else really helped my FPL today. No. But yeah, to get the lead resumed after that, it was a great response. And it was very echoes of West Ham, where, we shot ourselves in the foot and then we immediately rectified the situation. And that shows a lot of character. I wish that we didn't need to shoot ourselves in the foot first to then show that character. And hopefully over time we will eliminate those stupid little errors because that was entirely of our own fault and making. But yeah, no, I'm glad that we got back on.
Do you think the manager there also has learned a little bit from the Forest game? As in, he didn't panic. When we've gone wander down other games, he hasn't started to do proper radical wild things of let's go straight to back, let's do, let's really push for it. It is going back to play the way we play. And instilling that into us. I'm hoping that's kind of a sign to come, which is if we can see there's a way we play, there's a way of making it more urgent, but we don't have to go radical until it's very last minute. Semedo's got that in his game. He's a good defender, but he is a bit of as Kev loves my phrase, spot the dope. And he does have that brain fart on it. And I think it's pressure. I do think it's pressure where they go, we've just got ahead. Oh no, his cross is coming in. And they know it's Jota. And I think people, and they cause panic. Haaland does it. Haaland causes all sorts of panic when people see near him in the box, which is why they jump at him. And that's what the best players do. And it was nice pen by Mo.
Yeah, I mean, he steps up. He had scored 4 in his last 5. I know a lot of people have that built-in natural nervousness around a left footer taking the penalties, but yeah, I didn't want to name names, Kev. I didn't want to name names. But...
Well, me and Keith are founder members of the club.
I think. Isn't Salah now 4th in all-time pens scored? He's level with Little on 34 pens. Only Phil Neal, Molby, and Gerrard have got more pens.
Yeah,
but in fairness, they'd have had so much more in the VAR era, wouldn't they?
Yeah, they would have. Phil Neal especially. Yeah, Phil Neal's got 38, Molby's got 42, Gerrard's got 47, and Salah is currently on 34. So it's not a bad record.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not even the debate, is it? The pen. Is it? No one's really questioning that it wasn't a pen, are they?
The Wolves fans probably are.
Why?
I don't know. Every decision was all you could hear on the telly was the Premier League's corrupt.
It wasn't. Yeah, in fairness, when I saw one of, I'll be honest, Jota gave a nasty one down the back of. I think it was it Lamina's ankle.
Yeah,
he was late. He reached out for the ball. That was late. That was a booking. But there was another one. I think was it João Gomez
on
someone. Yeah,
and
it was actually
It's
Yeah,
accidental.
it was a complete accident. It's football. It's one of those things. But it looked awful. You know, it looked really. And there was another one. Andre tackled
McAllister.
someone, and it just landed. His foot landed on the ball and went
It was
over.
very like Jones in that Tottenham game where the ball his foot rolled over the ball.
100% last season. 100% last season. That's a red card.
I think so.
Because they didn't mess about with it.
It's not
No.
purposeful, but based on the calls that we saw last year, I think that.
Yeah. I mean, and the thing is, I think it's a booking. I think if there was a case for a blue card or an orange card,
like a sin.
Then that was it. It was a borderline. You could have a conversation about it being a red card, but I don't think it's a red card. But yeah, the penalty was a stonewall penalty. He was hanging out of his ass, for God's sake. It was almost like giving him a piggyback if you wanted to take him into the dressing rooms. He was all over him. What was he supposed to do?
Let's go for a suplex, I reckon.
Yeah, I mean, look, the opposition fans will cry foul and what have you, but Anthony Taylor was giving nothing to nobody today.
He didn't play the advantage rule once.
Any advantages?
Both ways.
I'm convinced he hates Salah. I'm convinced he hates Salah. Absolutely detests the man. The amount of times that any left back is hanging out of him. I mean, if you did that outside in a nightclub and grappled someone like that, you're getting horsed out by bouncers. Not just one, two, or three are taking you out the door.
I think that's a directive across all of the refs because the number of times you see Salah getting hauled to the ground with absolutely no consequence for the opposition team, I feel like they have decided to overlook that on purpose.
It's assault.
It's
bordering assault. I mean, he's getting thrown all over the place.
The funniest thing was, some fella tried to do that to him. He turns him, so the fella falls over and he gets a free kick against him.
I know. So how very dare you?
I know. How dare you show your strength? So,
yeah. It's Anthony Boylan says Salah gets pulled and has the free kicks given against him, which is just, it's absolutely brilliant. Immediately following us going back up 2-1, Ibu Konate, like you guys are saying, still looks like he has a bit of the jitters, takes the yellow card, gives him a dangerous free kick. They switch strikers. Hwang Hee-chan comes on for Strand Larson, who I thought was all right today. And then in the 71st minute, Ibu Konate seems to have completely gotten over his little Rick and puts in an incredible challenge when Forbes, who came on for Bellegarde, did well to actually get inside Trent. It was one of the few times that Trent got beat by a player going up against him. But Ibu Konate comes in and puts an absolutely lovely, lovely tackle in. And then we ring the changes, Chris. Gakpo and Jones come on for Diaz and Szoboszlai. And neither of the two players going off can have any complaints, can they?
No, they were the right subs. Graf Merch, look, a lot of effort, a lot of hard work. It wasn't happening for him. And Diaz was just quiet. You barely heard his name mentioned. Look, you know what? You have games like that. But you've got a guy in form in Gakpo. And I was pleased with Jones because I thought Jones gave us that bit more energy. He was sensible with the ball. And he just did the things that we kind of wanted Szoboszlai to do. So I just thought he did what we needed him to do. So I thought both subs were correct. McAllister wasn't great, but I think he was doing more than what Domo was. So I didn't really have a problem with any of the subs. So I thought they all made perfect sense. If anything, I was surprised we didn't bring maybe a fourth or a fifth player on a little bit earlier. But, other than that, I was happy with the subs. I thought the Jones sub was really good.
Yeah, I just felt that Dominic Szoboszlai had, it seemed like that miss that he had or the save from his chance seems like kind of got into him because he was a bit off of the pace for it. The 76th minute is the chance that Kev, you alluded to earlier, where Mo has the chance to put Jones in. I saw somebody saying that even if he'd put the passing correctly, that Jones is offside.
Yeah, he would have been slightly off. Just on the one camera angle that I was looking at, he looked slightly off. But that's fine. For Jones to be where he was, because there's no way in hell you're expecting Mo to take that pass first time on his right foot. He shouldn't have been taking that. He should have been driving on to make the defender commit, chop back, lay it across, and you can relax then at 3-1 for the last few minutes. It's something that I think we've got better at this season. The way we're a little bit better on the way we're playing with some of the counters that we're building. That one was a bad decision. It was bad decision making from start to finish on it. But again, the work to get yourself into position to get the break, brilliant. Winning the ball back in a really good, dangerous area. You did everything right, bar the pass. It was just a poor decision, because I felt the third one, it could have opened the gates, and you could have gone and made those other changes. You could have maybe brought Chiesa on for 10 minutes at the end. You could have made a few other changes that, with one half an eye on Bologna for next week. But at 2-1, I think the decisions, the substitutions that he made were the right ones for today, and it was just about the 3 points. Forget about anything else.
Yeah, because Gary O'Neill makes a very obvious change on 77, where he brings Tommy Doyle on for Santiago Bueno, clearly going to try to salvage at least a point from the game by taking a defender off, or I think Doyle's an attacking midfielder or something like that. Yeah. We make a little swap with Gomez and Robertson, and then at that point, it's all about just kind of keeping what we have, Ashley. And my favorite thing from the final part of the game, the 91st minute, Mo Salah putting a defensive header in at the back stick in our own box. And it's that buy-in from the whole team of defending as a team, as an ethos sort of thing, that you see a lot of other, top attacking players that don't get back and put that defending work in to help out to try to keep the 3 points. And it was nervy, but we got across the line.
Yeah, I think that 10 minutes felt more nervy than it needed to feel. And we were talking about this before we started the stream about how, I think a lot of people have PTSD. And, there was a time where we could hold on to like a 1-goal lead and feel really good about it. And I don't think we've been that team for a few years. And hopefully we get back to being that team. But at the moment, it does feel like we still have a few rickets in us that can kind of give that lead away. So hopefully with time, we'll see that confidence grow.
Yeah, and Bracky, anything else from you in terms of what stood out at the end of the game, or just the jitters of hoping that we don't blow it?
I think you had the slight worry of hope we don't blow it, but I've got to be honest. If you're a Wolves fan, you'd be tearing your hair out, because what did Wolves do the last 10, 15 minutes to push for the win? What did they do? They kept playing it around the back, which is fine, because Liverpool just sat into a formation and watched them and said, go on then. And they haven't got the players to do that. Didn't really try and play for corners, play for set pieces. I'd have been more worried if Dawson was fit to play, because he's a nightmare from corners. But they just weren't great, which is good for us. And it was good for us to take advantage of City dropping points, Arsenal nearly dropping points, but at least making life difficult for themselves. So, something we didn't do after the Forest game. So, all in all, I would say after the opening few fixtures we've had, I think we're about a point off where I hoped we would be, which is I thought we would have 5 wins and a draw, and it's 5 wins and a loss. I generally thought we'd have beaten Forest and we probably would have got a draw in one of these aways. So, a start to go. I don't think you can ask for much more, really.
No, and I mean it's a good points pace to be on. If you're picking up 15 points from every 6 games, you're putting up over 90 points in the season. Now, we've had a rather favorable bit of luck from the fixture computer, as opposed to, like somebody said there about Wolves.
Oh, it's
fixtures.
horrible, isn't it?
Yeah, like they've had a pretty terrible start. So I mean, they're sitting at the bottom of the table right now, but they've probably had the most nightmarish of all starts in terms of their fixtures that they could possibly get. But they're only going to be our business, once maybe if we catch them in the cup. I don't even know if they're still in the cup, but it's Wolves aren't really our business anymore.
They're out of the League Cup. I think they're out of the League Cup. But look, bit of perspective, right, for all of the nerves that people had in the last 10, 15 minutes. Nelson Semedo's shot in 76 minutes was their last effort. Full stop in that half. They had 3 shots in the second half. Or 4, sorry. The goal, which was our own making. They had 1 inside the box from Forbes. He looked rapid as you like, by the way. That young kid they got on loan. A shot from Cunha that went wide. And the last one was on 76 minutes. Nelson Semedo from halfway inside the half. It was like a pot shot. That was it. They'd done nothing else. It was literally, it was a side that you looked like they were terrified of getting absolutely slaughtered.
Yeah.
They were terrified of opening up. I mean, I get what Neville was talking about. Why are you giving it back to the keeper? Why are they trying to play out through the thirds? Who are they launching it long to?
Yeah.
You know, is Wang Hee-chan going to beat Ibu Konate in the air? No. You know, is he going to beat Virgil? No. You know, it's like the one aerial threat that they had, they took off.
I think they should have gone for pace a bit more down the wings, though, because they let Liverpool get set. And I think that's where they were knacked.
Exactly. I mean, we were set in our back four, the two holding mids, and we let the other front four go and try to press the ball and try to see if we could win it back. Curtis Jones was fresh on. He was the one that was leading the press and forcing them to either go back to the keeper to go long or to come out the other side and try and just eat time off the clock. That's all that does. You're set. We wanted them to go long because all we were going to do is we were just going to get the ball back and we'll just recycle it around the back ourselves. Come and get the ball off us, overcommit, and we'll knock it on the break and we'll probably score. So I can understand what what's the frustration. But if you open up against good sides, you will get punished.
Yeah, here's Wolves to start the season, which, to be fair, is brutal. Arsenal away, and then they went to Chelsea at home. Then they had Forest away. Then they had Newcastle at home, Brighton away, Villa away, and then they've had us. I mean, to be fair, it starts the season. That's pretty rough start to the season. So
yeah, you just about couldn't pick a worse possible start.
Yeah.
I will say to lead this in to come around and ask everybody for their man of the match. I'm going to go first just because it tail ends nicely with the final bit of my notes. The only name that is across the final four things I have is Ibu Konate. He's got a lovely pass to start us off on an attack where it goes to Trent and then Gakpo puts it across. Trent's miles offside, but it comes from Konate playing a lovely long ball down the wing to Trent. Then Konate comes over, covers great against Cunha, who to the box. Allison comes out and smothers it. And then the final kick of the game, Konate is extremely aggressive coming out to cut that ball out, and the whistle blows. And I think even with the absolute brain fart that he did that ended up with their goal, I would give man of the match to Ibu Konate. Ashley, how about you?
I actually was struggling throughout the game because I was thinking about the post-match. I was struggling to kind of pick out one. I mean, for me, I think it's the same guy that we've been mentioning several times. I think it's Gravenberch. I think Ibu is probably the next one on my list behind him. But I think very quietly, Gravenberch is becoming one of the top sixes in this league at the moment. And long may it continue.
Yeah, absolutely. Bonkers LFC agreeing with Gravenberch. Jack Napier, 666, saying, I think Gravy Train has about 6 man of the match awards, including international games this season. He might just have 6 from Liverpool games. Chris, who did you like for man of the match?
I think it is Gravenberch. Probably the one who deserves a shout out is Virgil. I thought it was just like standard Virgil. Just, let the back well, passed it well, didn't get flustered. But I think it is Gravenberch. I can't wait to see what Slot does when you have to rest Gravenberch properly in like one of these big games, which he's going to have to do next international break but he's becoming very, very pivotal, which is great. It's what you want.
Yeah, absolutely. Mr.
Unfortunately, he's pivotal for the Netherlands as well. He's not going to get rested for the Netherlands. He's going to play every game. So, yeah, it's a job to manage it. I would have given it to Gravenberch as well. Just a bit of perspective on his performance, just from the stats side of it, okay? 8 duels won. Ground duels won 7 out of 7. Aerial duels 1 out of 1. 100% on both. He was fouled 4 times. Didn't commit a single foul. His passing was 92% accuracy. Got into their box with a lovely run and made 4 passes into their final third as well, all accurate. He's slowly but surely becoming undroppable in this side, but he's going to need to be managed, and we saw the start of that process in the League Cup where he wasn't involved in the match day squad at all. You know, and but yeah, look, the other one, you know, Diogo Jota was there to cause mayhem to win the penalty. Beautiful cross for Konaté's goal. Worked his socks off in that number 9 position for this side, which is unpopular and unfashionable, because you're generally not going to be involved in much of the build-up play. You know, you're there really as a 9 in this kind of setup to finish the chances, to be the guy that you pass into for him to lay it off so he can spin off and try to get in behind. It's a horrible. You'll see him in games and you'll be asking yourself, what did he really do? But the job that he's asked to do, he does it really well. And he's a menace in the box. And the panic that set into the Wolves defenders when he won the penalty is there for everyone to see. It's like, above all, his positioning, his body positioning, to put himself in that spot where the defender is either going to have to foul him or he's going to score, one or the other. You know, I'm glad it's not the old days where it would have been a penalty and a red card because he was last man. You know, that's a good thing. But yeah, Jota is a right menace. You know, it must be a nightmare for defenders.
Yeah.
Because the other thing is he can do the other thing. He can drift out onto the wing and put a beautiful cross in. He can drop deep and be a link player if you need him to be. You know, he's just so versatile. But this season, we're seeing a different side of his game where he is like the main man at the minute. He is the main 9. And fingers crossed, touch wood. Another one that will need to be managed because of his injury record in recent years. But at the minute, he's done really, really well.
Yeah, it's his footballing brain, I think, would be a good way of describing the way that Diogo Jota plays. It's like a very high football IQ. We'll get through some of the post-match quotes here. Very fitting. Arne Slot talking about Ryan Gravenberch. He's so comfortable on the ball. He's doing really well off the ball as well. To be completely honest, that surprised me a little too. That's a little bit harsh. Where's his other ones here? More on Gravenberch. Slot says he's very comfortable on the ball with him and McAllister. That helps if you want to have the ball. Two of them can run as well. He's doing a good job without the ball, and that surprised me. I know him from the Dutch league. Jurgen did a really good job. And as somebody else pointed out in the chat earlier, 25 million, 30 million we paid for Ryan Gravenberch?
Seems like 40 million euros.
40 million, so 35 million pounds. It's looking more like a steal, every day. Quotes from Konaté afterwards. Wolves were very good today. They started really well, and the first half was a little bit tough for us. After we scored, we then had a little bit more control of the game. They came back, and thankfully we got the second. Thankfully we got 3 points. Arne Slot on Konaté wanting the man of the match award. Maybe he forgot we conceded a goal. So I guess that lays my giving Konaté the man of the match to rest. Arne Slot says preseason helped. The players started to believe we have a lot to prove when we come across the top sides. It's good that we are where we are at the moment. I always try to be realistic. Jurgen's work has been fantastic. We have to prove we can do it in the Champions League and the Premier League. He also goes on to say he doesn't expect Andy Robertson to have picked up an injury late in the match. I didn't even realize that there was injury concern over Robertson.
He had another one down the back of his Achilles. It was very similar to some of the other ones. It was right down the back of his ankle. I think it was
Forbes on Robbo at the very end of the match.
It was an accident. But it looked a sore one. You know, it was just one of them.
Bastard Forbes. Slot on the goal we conceded. He says the goal we conceded was definitely avoidable and it was unnecessary. It came at a bad time because we had total control over the game. It's always nice to win, especially away. The first 15, 20 minutes weren't great. It was a real tough start for us, but eventually we took control of the game. So, yeah, I think that's kind of roughly what we were all saying. You know, the first half of the first half, not so good. We settle into it, and it's all dandy after that. But another thing that you put in here for us, Ashley, the Premier League clubs have agreed a plan to close the summer transfer window on August the 15th next year before the 25-26 season starts, and Saudi Arabia is not part of this agreement.
Yeah, that just popped up. It came out on the Times when we came on.
What about the other leagues? Are they all going to do the same?
Let me see. Give me a second.
Because we've done this. The Premier League have done this before. We do it before the season starts. Then all the other leagues go, well, we're not. Yeah. And then you sat there knacked legs. And it's like, you've got 3 weeks of plays you've got to try and get rid of sooner.
Yeah, That's a strange one. I mean, Saudi Arabia was still open, I think, even when we were closing our window or slamming our window shut at the end of August. I think Saudi Arabia still had another 2 weeks or a month or something like that where theirs was open. But
yeah, look, in fairness, if you're a well-run club, it should make a blind bit of difference.
Yeah.
Because all you literally do you'll tell every single player at the end of the season who's staying, who's going, and by the way, if you're going, it's got to be done by the time our window closes. Give us enough time to get replacements. Any offers for any player after that will be rejected out of hand, irrespective. And most clubs will be, in the Premier League especially, you're able to afford to do that unless you get a ridiculous offer for a bang average player. And that can happen. But when it comes to this summer and next summer's transfer window, we've got other issues that need to be addressed well before the transfers. We've got 3 big contracts that need to be addressed.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're going to be very, very, very busy, a very busy club next summer, for certain.
So Ashley's found another quote that says the executives of the European Club Association are in favor. So
yeah, they're saying
if they're all doing the same, it makes sense.
They're saying that Spain, Italy, Germany, and France will close early too. It's just going to be Saudi Arabia that's going to be the outlier.
It's the right thing to do. In all fairness, you should, when the season starts, what you have in your squad, that's it. When the season starts, the transfer window should be shut the day before. And most leagues now across Europe, especially with the advent of this new Club World Cup bullshit, will start in and around the same time. So there's no excuse not to have uniformity with this. I mean, the only reason the Premier League tends to start that bit early is because it's the only league that has 2 domestic cup competitions that have to squeeze in fixtures, where Spain and Germany and Italy tend to start a week or 2 after us because they only got 1. And in Germany's case, they've only got an 18-team Bundesliga, not 20. So
it's just
is what it is.
It's just not fair. Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much enough for us. I'm sure Gab is going to want to do some sort of a preview show before the big match against Phony Bologna on Wednesday. Bob Paddock was saying at least 6 changes for Bologna, or else we'll suffer Saturday, the early kickoff at Crystal Palace. Palace, of course, losing to Everton today. So unfortunate.
Does help it's a home game, though, as well. That does help us.
Oh, against Bologna, yeah. Not against Palace. Yeah, we traveled to Palace, but we go on from there. I just saved this one from Sid Finch from earlier in the show because I thought it was just an absolutely bang-on comment. It says, the team will grow from mistakes that don't cost them by the final whistle. And I really agree with that sentiment because, there were some mistakes in that game, but you come out with it was still getting all 3 of the points, an away trip to Wolverhampton, top of the table, and that's all we can ask for. So anything before we get out of here, Ashley?
No, we keep marching on. More of the same, please.
Yeah. What about you, Bracky?
No, nothing from me.
Kev?
Bologna are playing Atalanta tonight at home. It's 0-0 at the minute, just coming up to half-time. And, keep an eye on that result because we know from past experience Atalanta are no joke. So, and this will be the first time we'll have come up against Bologna. So we don't know that much about them. I'm just looking at their lineup. They've got 3 players that stand out a mile from me that I know of. Orsolini is one, very good. Freuler in the middle of the park, and Posch is playing at right back. He was the Austrian centre-back stroke fullback that had a really good Euros. So they're not a bad side at all. And
it looks pretty even based on the stats.
Yeah.
I mean, possession's pretty even, shots for each. So far they look like they're well balanced.
Yeah, so they're not a bad side. I mean, at the minute in the table, they're 10th currently. 1 win, 4 draws, 1 loss, which says, they're conservative, hard to beat, but they ain't going to score many at you. So it's just early in the season, home. You want to finish off this group of Champions League fixtures with 6 points, ideally. Plus, we've got a fair few people going over there for this one. So Like
Yes,
to see him going over there for a win.
We gotta figure out who the next Jonah is going to be, but hopefully not. Hopefully we can continue on with the winning ways, because that is what we were here for. So, I'm not sure whether it'll be 2, 3, 4, or none of us after the Bologna game. It won't be none of us. There'll be a post-match show then. You'll have your Sunday night show coming up tomorrow night with Gav and whoever he can rustle up on a Sunday night to go through the bigger talking points of Liverpool and the weekend's action. But for those of us at the full-time show, thanks to my panels for joining me. Thank you for everybody in the chat for joining. Hit the like button on the way out, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Please help donate to our charities if you can. But yeah, a trip to Molyneux finishes Wolves 1, Liverpool 2. Liverpool, top of the league.